Strap yourselves in, my friends. It is the front lines of the info war. I am your host, Alex Jones, and we're going to be here for the next 3 hours today. We've got Mike Adams, the health ranger, to break down a host of big government police state issues against milk, other whole foods, vegetables. He's also got an article out today, 10 reasons that liberals, progressives, and others are supporting Ron Paul as he continues to surge in the polls. I see a report out via the Atlantic magazine that Homeland Security is monitoring the New York Times and Drudge Report. Well, yes, last year Bob Barr sued because they were given intel that Homeland Security spies on Infowars.com, Alex Jones, Drudge Report, and they basically declared national security in that case. But then we later learned that indeed they are monitoring the sites, and Janet Napolitano, Miss Napolitano, came out and said, oh, I don't like being called a troll on the Drudge Report, which she's not called a troll on there. But you've got to understand that Drudge every week links to our articles as well. It is the biggest news site out there in the world. And, I mean, it is supposed to creep everybody out that, ooh, the government now monitors all talk radio. Remember that Homeland Security announcement last year? And, ooh, they monitor the news websites. Oh, boy, they're watching us. Yeah, we're watching you ship guns into Mexico and drugs back into the U.S. and launder the money. We're watching you engage in all of your activities. We're the good guys, you're the bad guys, and we're exposing them. We're watching you have Anwar al-Awlaki, the number 3 in al-Qaeda, dying secretly at the Pentagon. We're watching the government get the underwear bomber on the plane 2 Christmases ago. We're watching the government 6 months ago put al-Qaeda in charge of Libya. We're watching governments worldwide injecting kids with vaccines that kill them. So we're watching you, and we're glad you're watching us because a lot of your people are not evil. They're compartmentalized, and guess what happens when they watch us? Just like that movie, The Lives of Others, based on an East German Stasi spy that's a true story, his spying on political dissidents actually woke him up and made him join them. And that's actually one of the reasons that East Germany fell first and started the fall of the old Soviet Union, was because the spies were actually looking at the anti-communist material, and it made a lot of sense. So even though it's illegal that you spy on us, open source stuff's not illegal, but use our tax money to collate it. Even though you do spy on stuff that's not open source and is illegal, and I don't like it, the fringe benefit is, the silver lining is that it's only going to backfire on you. I'm not glad the National Defense Authorization Act passed, overturning the Bill of Rights and Constitution. Look, you can't pass tyranny. You can't legalize total corruption. So you've just illustrated to everyone how right we've been, how right I've been, Ron Paul, and countless others. G. Edward Griffin, Stuart Rhodes, the list goes on and on. You know, thousands of patriots. Kurt Nimmo, Paul Watson, Drudge Report, Matt Drudge. I mean, the list goes on and on of people that have been concerned about this. And we're called kooks and crazies and fringe, and now it's all happening. And so all of you that defended the corrupt status quo, the status quo is racing, galloping corruption and getting away with it. Those of you that have tied your pony to that, those of you that have signed on and put all your eggs in that basket, good for you. You've chosen to suck at the fetid breast of the New World Order she-demon. Not me. It's Infowars.com, PrisonPlanet.tv. We've got some special reports that I was going to air on the Nightly News tonight. We're going to premiere Darren McBreen's Man on the Street. Do Americans Want War with Iran piece. We got a bunch of guests coming up. Newt Gingrich confronted on Bohemian Grove. Great job of We Are Change. All right, we are going to have an absolutely jam-packed transmission for you today on this Thursday, 12th day of January, 2012. What I want to do is just briefly read some of the headlines here. Then I want to get into the latest on Iran and the covert war now admitted by the United States and Israel. Remember, I was a conspiracy theorist 5 years ago saying that the U.S. and Israel were assassinating and blowing stuff up in Iran. Even a few months ago, the mainstream said it wasn't true. But now Fox News, New York Times, Ynet News out of Israel, Jerusalem Post, top Israeli general, they admit it all. There you go. So I told you the war with Iran is on, and it's going on currently and accelerating towards blockades and embargoes and open, hot army against army war, not just asymmetrical. And Iran is saying they're going to start attacking Israelis, so it's off to the races. And people say, well, what side are you on? I'm not on any side except freedom. And I'm tired of the endless wars. They only lead to more wars. And killing Iranians and blowing up their military bases, they're going to respond. You know, it's like asking when a bolt of lightning strikes a house and it catches on fire, what side are you on? Well, I'd rather the bolt of lightning not strike the house and set it on fire at 2 a.m. and burn up the family inside. I'm against calamity. I just don't think war is always sexy and cool and the way to go. Now, if you're being attacked, if you're having your liberty taken, if you're being overtaken, then you have a right to defend yourself. It's funny, though, when we have this foreign global corporate government that's taken over America and is militarizing the police against us and overthrowing our Bill of Rights and Constitution, engaging in classical tyranny, oh, I'm supposed to just sit here and take it, or I get put on extremist list for just being what you'd call an Americana. Just, you know, Americana. 57 Chevys, freedom, private property, Elvis Presley, Marilyn Monroe. You know, Second Amendment, John Wayne, leave me alone. I mean, it is that simple. And so I'm the bad guy. Ron Paul for being a classical, what made America great. I mean, if you know what the Constitution, Bill of Rights, Declaration of Independence is, what it stands for, it's very simple, then you love Ron Paul. But in this world where the criminals run things, to be patriotic, to be common sense, is revolutionary and is threatening. And Ron Paul, I've got some of the video clips we'll play later, you know, he's been giving speeches saying, hey, they call me a kook and weird stuff because they can't intellectually face me on the issues. This isn't a guy that needs a teleprompter. This is a guy that actually is obsessed with information. You know, the other candidates are like, what do you do when you're at home on the weekend? I watch football. Everybody's like, ooh, that's manly. Ron Paul's, well, when I'm not spending time with my family after they go to bed, you know, I'm reading textbooks. I'm reading history books. I'm reading economics. People are like, huh? That's boring. That's not manly to actually know how things work. No, that is as manly as it gets. Men are supposed to be informed. Men are not supposed to be silly and mindless. Children historically are obsessed with little ball games and acting tough and you know, petty celebrities. Historically, women have been associated with that. Not that there haven't been a lot of serious women, but it's always been kind of allowed for women to be into things like that. Men are supposed to be serious and involved and informed. At least in free and great civilizations are known by that hallmark of stoic, aggressive, serious, informed men who see it as manly to be able to speak 5 languages and who know history and who are ready, if you challenge their honor, to go out in the street and have a sword fight with you to the death. That's what marks real civilizations, is men who are ready to die on an instant's notice for what they stand for. Our most manly aren't even hold a shadow to our predecessors. This is what we've turned into, is a bunch of arrested development, gibbering monkeys. I see grown men who have imprinted on sitcoms and dramas who think acting silly and acting stupid is cute and funny. And you wonder why our civilization is in free fall right now. Because men are not being men. We're being taught to act like little boys with feminizing hormones pumped into us. By the way, I've been telling you for more than 12 years since I discovered public scientific documents and interviewed people like Dr. Blaylock and others that bisphenol A is massively causing cancer. Big study out today, mainstream news. We're forcing it out there. Every breast tumor that's cut into is filled with the bisphenol A. It is what is killing our women. And I just look at my wife and I just care about her, and I like her, and I like parts of her body, And I just think about the nightmare of of her. You know, I mean, so much of my family's had breast cancer, and her family, and my grandmother has it, and it's just like, I am so angry. I am so angry that they knew, and I've shown you the documents, that this chemical, out of thousands they could have used, does this, and they do it, and then I come out here and warn women, and I get made fun of by ABC, CBS, Media Matters, hundreds of publications conservatively, that I'm making fun of gay people because I point out this makes men feminine and gives women breast cancer. It isn't funny, okay? And listen, the system knows this, and I've had enough of it, so I'm going to be getting to that report coming up later. I will cover that. And we've got a lot of other important news, and there's all these brain disorders popping up. I mean, they've got reports about whole high schools just full of children now who suddenly are gibbering and have Tourette's-like syndromes and stuff. It's the chemicals, folks. They're killing us. This is eugenics. This is death. And you're never going to hear the environmental groups that are government-funded and foundation-funded talk about this. They'll never talk about real environmental issues when we have environmental Armageddon going on. On the genetic front, the chemical front, everything. They'll tell you, oh, it's carbon dioxide that's a 0.0390 in its highest levels. In fact, guys, let me double check that number. Pull up percentage of carbon dioxide in the atmosphere, please, for viewers on prisonplanet.tv. Radio listeners can do it themselves. It is 0.0390 in its highest concentrations in lowland areas. In highland areas, it's as low as 0.0360. And it's the lowest ever recorded from the ice core samples, the mud bog samples, the shale samples. We are in a desperate situation. There's even a new, most of the ancient plants have all died because they need more carbon dioxide. They're dying all over the world and being phased out. There's a new types of plants that are newer in the Earth's development that can operate with almost no carbon dioxide. And many scientists we've had on have said that the Earth could die because of this. Like Mars once had oceans all across it and undoubtedly looks like life. And it lost its atmosphere. It lost its carbon dioxide. You want to off-gas our atmosphere? I mean, this is, I mean, that's why so many scientists say it's like a foreign entity is running this and wants to destroy the Earth or something. Well, yeah, it's called the devil. You can call me superstitious, whatever. I mean, what else is it? They're not worried about all these real environmental problems they've got us freaking out over carbon dioxide. I mean, what a sickening joke. Okay, I'm ranting. I just, look at this. Covert war on Iran, prudent strategy. This Ynet News out of Israel. Former Israeli defense official tells New York Times, ambiguous policies are best when it comes to efforts to prevent all-out war with Iran. Tehran says retaliation will reach beyond region. Here's another one. IDF chief of staff affirms Israeli responsibility for Iran covert war assassinations. Fox News. Oh, I told you this 5 years ago. I told you it would build. The war's already on. 3, and now Iran says they're going to respond. That's called war. When Iran lays there and takes it, it's called a turkey shoot. 3 U.S. warships patrol waters near Strait of Hormuz. Pentagon denies movement of aircraft carriers is linked to Iran tensions. Yeah. Wow, that's an amazing photo there on the cover of this. It's got like some stealth fighter they're launching off the carrier deck. Wow, that's neat looking. Really neat, though, is the war. I'm being sarcastic. Yeah, scroll down a little bit so they can see that plane. Thanks. And then right here, newspaper calls for killing Israelis in retaliation for nuke scientist assassination. That's Infowars.com, a link to the official Iranian news. And they're saying, the guy appointed by the supreme leader is saying that they need to start targeting Israelis. Jerusalem Post is also reporting on it. So it's on. It is on. I hope we can turn this around, but it's on right now. And it's escalating fast. And it just goes on and on here with these reports. U.S. military moves carriers into the region. That's just some of what we're going to be covering. 12 infected with new strain of swine flu. Oh, and it's particularly deadly, but don't worry, they're going to have some vaccines for you. And all over the country and all over the world, they've got labs producing super airborne weaponized bird flu, swine flu, and then having trucks drive it around all over the United States to hundreds of labs. Well, actually, when they had that FedEx turnover a few years ago, they said it was going to 5,000 labs plus. It was like 5,400 labs. And they were mailing weaponized airborne bird flu around. Remember that one? It was just the New York Times on Monday. What was their headline? It was Engineering Doomsday. And how this will kill 90+% of those that come in contact with it. And the government's making it. And again, oh, but that's not the threat. It's the carbon dioxide in Iran. I mean, folks, this stuff ever gets out, most of us right now sitting here are dead. You won't get the flu and get sick. You and your family will all be dead. Like as in under the ground, as in no pulse. We'll be right back. Stay with us. This is massive news coming up. Let me just do this, because I'm going to get into some really hardcore news in the next segment, some stuff that's pretty scary, but we've got to admit what's happening so that we can do something about it to stop it. So in the gloom and doom is the solution. In admitting reality and explaining that the direction we're going in is the wrong direction is the only hope we have to turn things around. We also have more media clips from the establishment press, the dinosaur press, telling us Ron Paul still can't win and didn't really get second place in New Hampshire, and really treating their viewers like sheep. Very condescending. Hey, guys, that's why every month you lose more viewers. And we gain viewers and readers and listeners, and the Drudge Report does, and every other alternative media system grows while you shrink. Go look at the numbers. You're fully aware of them. So just continue doing what you're doing. And no amount of SOPA Act is going to put the genie back in the bottle. You think you're going to team up with the government to shut down your competition, the truth, against your lies? Sorry, the truth sells 1,000 to 1 to lies, okay? So I'll keep selling the truth. I don't need teleprompters. I don't need to think about what I said yesterday to match it up today, because I'm telling the truth. Do I make mistakes occasionally? You bet. And we correct them when we do. But we're trying to tell the truth. We're trying to be as accurate as we can. We're seeking after reality. You are seeking after lies and disassembling and manipulation and gatekeeping and telling everybody what to do and being control freaks. And you belong to the dustbin of history. Blasting out on the AM and FM dial, also on XM, channel 166, and #1 on the podcast and audio streams on the web for radio, Infowars.com. And, of course, simulcasting the video at prisonplanet.tv. We also go out on WWCR, 100,000-watt global shortwave service to the world. And I get letters from missionaries in Central Africa and people in the Himalayas. It's just wild what the shortwave does as well. People listening in villages and on ships at sea. And I've gotten calls from weather stations in Antarctica and in the Arctic, from the northern ice cap to the southern ice cap and beyond. It's wild. It's wild to realize we talk every week in the aggregate with all different forms and transmissions to 15 million souls. What a responsibility. And I do not claim that I am up to the challenge, but I'm here, I'm on the field, and I'm doing the best I can. And I thank you all for your prayers. When you consciously realize you're standing in front of millions of people and that the world is in such dire straits and that we have so much potential to turn it around, it is mind-blowing. Okay, let me just get into Iran now, then I'll get into the other news and then open the phones up. Then we have Mike Adams coming on, and also Luke Rudkowski confronted Newt Gingrich in one of the most powerful little confrontations. He brought up Bohemian Grove, and Gingrich just said, you're basically insane, it doesn't exist. Newt Gingrich is in 2 of the annals of Bohemian Grove that we got from widows of Bohemian Grove members. And he's been one of the key speakers there, and we have all the proof of that in the video that Luke Rudkowski and We Are Change put out that's up at Infowars.com right now. And it's just very interesting to see Nudie playing a little game, doing his little devil smile, and saying, you're insane, doesn't exist. Thinking that people watching are ignorant. Everything they do counts on you not having open eyes. Everything they... Why do the globalists have the owl as their symbol? Sure, in Greek mythology it means wisdom, and it means that as well. But for them, the owl sees in the dark. You don't. You're a little mouse down there that doesn't see well in the dark, and they can fly down and grab you with their talons. Well, I'm not a mouse, okay? And so you try to swoop down on me. I can see at night. I can see during the day. I can see at high noon. You know, there's the video by Kurt Nemo's got an article out on it. Newt tells a lie about his attendance at Bohemian Grove. And there's the scan from the annal sent to me by a widow of a industrial tycoon. I'll just leave it at that. Other stuff she told me was private. I was talking to a Houston lady who separately had contacted Tex Mars and told him the same story. And she was talking about her husband, who was since dead, and he had little owls all over the house, and he basically worshipped them, but he would never tell her what it was all about. And so that's the thing. You can watch the footage from Bohemian Grove, and you can think that, oh, well, they're just a play. Well, where do you think plays came from? They're up on the stage. It's religious. It's done all stylistically. You're out in the church, whether it's pagan, Christian, whatever. You're out there as a practitioner. You're out there as a parishioner watching the priest class, the anointed ones, up on the stage. And I was there, and to test it with Mike Hansen when we snuck in 2000, I'm like, well, that's pretty neat. And they're like, just like, shut up. And these old men were just like going, and really getting off on it. And I was... But they didn't get off half as much as what happened when they bring the body of the child, the effigy, they say, on this flatback wagon drawn by Clydesdale horses, big black Clydesdales. And they bring it over behind these black sheets I'd seen up during the day on the other side of the pond. Down here at the front's the idol. Over on the other side is that. And whatever went on behind that, I mean, it was smacking, grinding of teeth, super ultra creepy. I mean, you want to know what the guy feels like, you know, in the fictitious, not really fictitious, that's why they said bye-bye Kubrick, Eyes Wide Shut, when he stumbles into the satanic meeting and they're all acting really weird and creepy. I've been there, okay? The only difference is they don't have supermodels in there having orgies, okay? Well, I guess they do have male supermodels in there having orgies with them. That's what's going on. And again, I was in there 4 hours being whistled at. Mike was there with me. That's why we finally had to hide in the woods. I guess we were, go back 12 years ago, I was about 60 pounds lighter than I got when I got fat and ugly. But the point is that Mike and I were being whistled at like it was Pepe Le Pew, you know, the skunk that chases everybody and chases the cat around, the black and white cat. It was like that. Pepe Le Pew was chasing us. Old men were whistling. Greens workers were laughing at us. And I knew a little bit about it, and I figured out by the end that's why we were able to stay in there. We got questioned by Secret Service and others, and we just said, oh, we're with this certain camp because we knew enough about the lore. We had an inside source. But I knew our time was running out, so we hid out till it got dark. Sure enough, the ritual happened, as it does every year, July 15th, and we got out of there. And then somebody broke in and got the footage. We'd already made copies. Then we mailed that copy. We'd already made a copy of that, and they erased that. I mean, it was crazy. And I got some death threats over it. But here is Newt Gingrich. In fact, I'm going to play it later. Oh, wait. I don't think Luke bleeps the President Nixon taking the Lord's name in vain. I know that offends a lot of people, including myself, because I'm God-fearing. It doesn't mean sometimes if I don't stub my toe, I don't say something I shouldn't. The point is that check that Radowski video, because I think he leaves Nixon's GDs in there. And so we have to find that spot and just fade it down during that when we do play that. So we've got that coming up, because it's a great video because it illustrates all of Newt Gingrich's lies. I mean, he's just there saying, you're crazy, doesn't exist. We have footage of him, photos of him there, and we have all these other world leaders talking about it. I only wish Luke would have used the David Gergen confrontation video I've got, where David Gergen doesn't deny he goes and doesn't deny the ritual and gets threatening. This is the Karl Rove to 5 administrations. Okay, my friends, we are now into hour number 2. We've got an expose of Newt Gingrich and his occultic activities coming up with the amazing researcher and filmmaker Luke Rudkowski popping in the third hour. We've got Mike Adams, the health ranger, with big breaking news coming up. But I want to take some of your calls ahead of that. The toll-free number to join us here is 800-259-9231, 800-259-9231. But the Iran situation has ratcheted up another gear. And there's really only one more gear now, and that's open major military against military conflict. But the war is on. It's now being called a war, no longer even a covert war by the New York Times, Fox News. So, again, I have to always toot my horn just to counter all the lies. Because the system doesn't want us to admit this is hurtling into a hot war and is already a covert, asymmetrical war. I mean, I remember up till the day they attacked Iraq, the disinfo was saying Alex Jones is full of baloney. There's not going to be a war with Iraq. That way, anti-war groups could never get activated because they would always just say, yes, we're getting ready for war, but we're not, kooks. And you're like, that doesn't make sense. It's just a psych warfare tactic where, no, we're not going to have war. And you're like, but you just said we are. Oh, see, it's a mind game. Oh. So it makes it all about arguing that they are getting ready for war. Instead of, yeah, they're going to have war, let's not have it. It's like, oh, well, we're not really sure if we are. They never let it become cut and dry, even though it's already cut and dry. So I told you 5 years ago and showed you the White House orders for covert war to be launched and terror attacks inside Iran using al-Qaeda groups and one Kurdish group. That's now all confirmed. But now the point is it's gone from an attack every month or so to every day. There's stuff going on. And so Iran didn't want to look weak. They realize their whole country now knows they're being attacked. Before they'd say, oh, that bridge just blew up on accident. Oh, that refinery just blew up. Oh, there was a car bomb, but we don't know who did it. Oh, somebody bombed that base and killed those generals, but we're not sure. Yeah, now it's like, yeah, Israel, the U.S. are doing this. Remember, when you hear Israel and the U.S., that doesn't mean all the Israelis, all the people in America. That is the special interests that want war, that want the political distraction. And so we hear all of this, and this isn't like a football game going to war. Real troops die. Real troops breathe depleted uranium. Real troops come home and, commit suicide because they're so depressed over killing innocent people. You see, the troops that are psychopathic and evil, they get hired to be police on record. That's who they try to recruit. They hire some good military as police as well that slip through. But those that have a soul get really screwed up by it. And they go crazy. They commit suicide. And they knew from World War I, don't make somebody serve more than one tour in serious combat. There are people who've served, I looked it up, 9 tours. 9. And, of course, it was well known that it was wrong to make people serve all these tours. So I remember in 2005, 6, 7 getting callers going, nobody serving 3 or 4 tours, liar. And I'd be like, are you in the military? No, but it's wrong to make them serve that many tours. I know that because my brother was in Vietnam. You're a liar. Now it's like, yeah, they do serve 6, 7, 8 tours. Yeah? What's wrong with that? Well, you're finding out what's wrong. Record. It's 7 times the previous per capita record of suicide. You care about the troops? I mean, that's like tires are rated to drive 50,000 miles, and you drive 300,000 miles on tires, and you wonder why they all blow out on you. They're putting 300,000 miles on 50,000-mile tires. And there are some people that can handle it and some people that can deal with it. This has been studied for thousands of years, but it's been codified in the last 100 or so. If it's a true moral cause, defending your family, men can fight and fight and fight and fight and fight and fight and fight. But if there's any moral question, most people that do immoral things self-destruct because humans are designed to be part of a greater tribe and aren't designed to do bad things. When we do bad things, our own body, our own psyche turns against us, okay? It's a self